Hello, this is Andy La Rocque of King Diamond, and you're watching the Chaoszine.
Hello everyone, it's day number 3 here at Mystic Festival and it's a night time and we have the pleasure to talk to Andy La Rocque of King Diamond. How are you, man?
I'm fine, but it's been a lot of work and preparations before this tour with everything, but right now, I'm trying just to get in the right mood for walking on stage in a few hours.
Sweden Rock Festival, a couple of days ago. How did that go?
That was the first show of the whole European tour. So the first show out of 26 shows, I believe, and it turned out good, I think. We didn't really have any issues, some small technical things, but that's all fixed now. And
that's live music.
Exactly, that's live music. And there were a lot of people, even though we played very late. I mean, we walked on stage like 11:45.
Yeah.
Well,
pretty similar than today.
Yeah,
so you
kind
get
of,
late night.
Yeah. But because we wanted to be dark when we played.
Yeah, of course.
But that was good. I mean, for being the first show, I thought everything turned out really good.
And you have been also playing 3 new songs live.
Kind of 3 new. We played 3 new songs on the Sweden Rock Festival. Yeah, kind of 3 new. Well, they're not on an album yet, but we unfortunately have to cut down 1 song today. The one that's not released yet, and it's going to be Electrotherapy, we have to cut out because we have to shrink the set a little bit because we're so close to go over time in Sweden Rock. And we don't want them to cut the power, or anything. So we decided we have to take one out, Unfortunately, it's that one, But we took that decision because it's not released yet, really, So, I mean, we're still playing a few new songs.
So there is a new album in the horizon, and it has been quite some time, a new album in the horizon.
It's, things.
Lucifer's Hospital 1920 is the name of the album.
Yes. Right after the US tour, we talked about, okay, let's just take a short break and we start working on the next few songs right away because we have most of the songs, like a demo thing of most of the songs. But then, we had some issues with, I'm not going to go into that, but, there were some diseases, people were sick, for a long time. And, then the time just ran out kind of thing. And then we had to start planning the European tour. So it's like, wow, we now will, after going back from this European summer tour, we will just have a short break and then go back into recording, the stuff.
So you will finish it. It will be done soon. Well, finally, hopefully.
Finally.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, and higher powers, whatever, but we do what we can.
But lyrics are done, most of the music is done.
He's got all the ideas in here. A lot of lyrics are already done. He's got everything in here. A lot of small post-it notes everywhere with like lyric lines and stuff like that.
Kind of there, but not yet there.
The whole story is pretty much there, so we just need to start recording the music in a proper way. And we got demos of a lot of things, I mean, I think I have like 7 or 8 songs kind of ready. I mean, demo needs to change drums, needs to change a few things. We could use that, but King also has a lot of ideas and songs, So we'll see how many of my songs will end up on the album. Maybe 3, maybe 4, I don't know. We'll see. But we have a lot of music, that's for sure.
In terms of the music, I was curious about the whole writing process. So do you both write and then you sort of switch ideas, or how does that process work? And those new guys are not anymore new guys in the band. So what's actually their role?
They're still new. I mean, the bass player has only been with us for 11 years.
Yeah.
So he's the new guy.
new guy.
Yeah, now what we do...
Not even most bands last for 10 years, so being a new guy after 11 is kind of funny, yeah.
Now I would say me and King writes the music.
Yeah.
That's how we want it to be. And we try to write it as complete as possible, when we present it to each other. Sometimes it's not complete, it's like a guitar riff, maybe a click track or a drum machine. And sometimes it is kind of complete, except for, we need real drums on it because it's it's usually on the demos, it's like a programmed drum machine, things like that. Sometimes, I play the bass, and we want Pontus to play the bass, of course, but for the demos, to get the complete picture of what we want. And also I try to make as much of the keyboards as possible too. And same with King, And then when we think that, okay, this might be a good song, so we'll send it to each other, and then we start like do an arrangement. King can call me and say, I think you should, just take that part out or double that section because that's really good, So that's how we work out things, And maybe, that solo section, I can tell him like that solo section or that section of the song is really good to play solo on. So maybe we can use that instead of what you have. Things like that, arrangement wise,
Is it still then like music almost done, or is it still in that like arranging part or?
No, the most of it done, When we get to that point, it's probably maybe done by 90% or something like that,
Oh yeah.
And then we start moving around things, if necessary,
Will you still plan on adding new music to the set list before the album comes, or are these kind of like the teasers and then it's the time for album, or is it still like up in the air?
I wouldn't say.
What kind of plans you have?
I mean, we were kind of done with these songs. That's why we decided to try to play them live, and see how it works out, That's what we did. So, for example, Spider Lily is going to be on the album, and we'll play that live.
Yeah.
And it's also released on video, So, yeah, that's how we do it. I mean, we don't have to wait for a whole album, We thought we need to put out something now, for the fans,
Yeah, they have been quite eagerly waiting for that.
Patiently.
And there's also another album in the works in the King camp. So which one is gonna be out first?
No, we talked about we're gonna work on the King Diamond thing first.
That's gonna
that's the plan. Yes.
You have said that you want to have some kind of like organic sound which kind of reminisces the old album. So how do you actually plan on like having that production wise? Do you have to do a lot of tweaks to it to make it sound
really.
that way?
That's what we don't do this time around. We don't do a lot of tweaks to it, to make it like sound. It's organic also in the way of the playing is not like copied and pasted, stuff like that.
So you will actually play it.
Yeah. It's more relaxed play, and there might be some things you hear there's like, yeah, that's what, we're going to keep that.
So you kind of want to have a live feeling into it.
Yeah, a little bit of that, yes. Because that's what we had back in the 80s too when we recorded the album. Everything wasn't perfect, more organic, not everything triggered and sound like everyone else, but we want like a more acoustic kind of, more of the acoustic drums, you know what I'm saying? And, stuff like that, to make it a little bit more organic. It doesn't have to be perfect everywhere, it's good, but, some things might not be like 100%, only 99.99. You know what I'm saying? But that's also, to make everything like a more loose or organic feel to it, Of course, it's going to be good, We don't release anything that we're not happy with.
But are you afraid that the longer you sort of keep the fans waiting, the higher the fucking expectations go?
No, really. No.
I remember the similar case when I was waiting for the upcoming Winter Sun album. I was like waiting. It was eventually good, but I was at one point like scared that will it actually be that good after all the wait?
Yeah, we'll see what the people say when they hear it, but I'm sure they're gonna be happy with it.
What can you tell us about the guitar work? Where have you like drawn inspiration? Has it
my personal guitar work?
Yeah.
Oh man. No, I was inspired by guitarists from the 70s first, back in when I started to play guitar, Status Quo and stuff like that, Black Sabbath, Thin Lizzy, but for playing solos, one of my, biggest heroes is probably Randy Rhoads.
Yeah, but he's the best of the game.
Yeah, Michael Schenker, Yngwie Malmsteen is awesome, of course, he's a great guitarist, I think, Steve Vai, there's so many good guitarists out there, but if I only pick one that has been a great inspirer, it's probably Randy Rhoads, I really like his style.
In terms of like drummers, I read an interview where Mickey D said that he would like to play with you again one day, and obviously, well, Scorpions won't last forever, they're quite old. So would you see one day you doing something with Mickey again? Would you be like open to do something with him?
I'm never going to say never because that would be stupid, So we'll see what the future has in mind, Yeah, I mean, we're still in good, we're still friends and we keep in touch, and all that stuff. So, yeah.
So there is an album also turning 30 years, The Spider's Lullaby. It will turn 30 years.
Wow.
That's kind of like a different album in your discography.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about it, like 30 years after?
30 years after, to be honest to you, I was never really happy with the production of it. I thought, I expected something different. I think the songs are great on it.
Yeah, it is very good album.
Songs are good, yeah. But the production, could have been better in my opinion. But we were in Dallas in a new studio, new producer, new musicians and everything. So, that's the way it was back then, With a better production, I think, that would have been much better in my opinion.
But there ain't no plans to remaster it or do anything.
I don't even know if we even have the tapes left.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So in terms of the future, what's in the scope? Is it like touring, new album, more touring, or how does it look at the moment? Do you even have like a rough idea when the album is coming out?
We have been talking about we have to have it recorded before Christmas, That's the plan we have, Then if someone gets sick or, whatever happens, then if that's not the case, we'll see. But that's the plan we have. We have to record everything by Christmas. So that means it's coming out next spring,
And then you will be touring your asses off
I don't know.
around it.
Yeah, maybe, maybe, I don't know, maybe next fall, I don't know yet. We don't really have any plans with that yet, we'll see. When the album is done, we're going to start working on a new cycle, so that includes touring, but hopefully, yes.
Thanks a lot for taking the time to talk to me, and good luck for tonight's show as well as for the future. Anything you want to say as a closer to all the King Diamond fans?
Yeah, thank you for
Here's the camera for.
Thank you for your patience. See you live out there.